You are intuition-led researcher. What does it mean?
I still question.
That's great actually. What is the balance between rational thinking, logical thinking, and intuition?
Yeah, it is. Knowledge is colonized, yeah. And where are women?
Yes.
In Nobel Prize winners.
We have this message in our brains that if I will be unique, if I will be different, I can be killed.
If I'm weak, it's okay to be weak.
You are showing the real role models and real hidden heroes of the society in Kazakhstan.
The best capital that you have is you.
Hi to everyone, my name is Sarah. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and I'm super happy to invite here our first guest speaker, Mrs. Shumaila Yousafzai. She's a professor on entrepreneurship and she's the director of Research Center on Entrepreneurship at Nazarbayev University. I'm super happy to see you here. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank
I
you.
didn't know it was your first one, so I am honored actually.
Thank you so much. And while reading your profile, Shumaila, I saw, and you mentioned also several times, that you are intuition-led researcher. What does it mean?
Yeah, I wasn't always like that. So when I started my research career as a PhD student, then as a professor, I was just following the trend. So I would just be doing what was expected of me and what everybody else is doing and what can be published as a research. At that time, perhaps I wasn't in a strong position as well to develop my own self. I had to do what was going on there and learning as well. Also, my mentors were believing in just going with the trend. So then I did a lot of research, published lots of papers. A point came when I started thinking, what's the point of doing all of this? Who am I doing it for? Who is maybe even reading, and if they're reading, what they're getting, and who is benefiting from my work. Also, how does it align with my values as a human? So then I started thinking of alternate ways of doing research. And I stumbled upon entrepreneurship, women's entrepreneurship, before I was into marketing and consumer behavior. And in women's entrepreneurship, I started doing interviews. That's the first time when I actually engaged with my research participants. Before that, it was always working on secondary data or questionnaires where you do not talk to your participants. When I started talking to them, they started telling me their stories, and that was the point where, I just understood there's so much more to it, and I can now be imaginative and creative. So the stories that they are telling me, I want to tell them forward. And I say that I became like a storyteller then from that point onward, not a researcher. And now I go with a very open mind. I talk to these women. I do not have a set research agenda. And from there, I pick up what is important for them, what matters to them, and what I can then, as a researcher, take forward. And that's where I let my intuition work, my heart lead, So that's what I call intuition-based researcher. So I have a big team of research assistants, and they always say, please train me when we go, how to do interviews, what to ask. I say, don't worry, just go and talk. Just let the person talk as well and take the lead. And then when you come to a point where you find it so interesting, just hold on to it and then take that forward.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shumaila. What do you think? What is the balance between rational thinking, logical thinking, and intuition in the researching process?
Yeah. So, of course, in everything in life, you need to keep a balance between both our mind and heart. Yeah, if you just go by heart, heart can just lead you to adventures, and in life you need to have goals and you need to complete your projects. And so if you just go by intuition, you may just jump from one project to another without finishing them, and you may not have goals, and then something more interesting comes and you just go on to there. I've seen many people, they go with this and then they have so many open projects. Yeah, so then you need to bring in this logical thinking as well. You need to think, okay, how many things can I do actually? And I want to I want to finish it as well. I want to so for to be a finisher, I think logical thinking comes there as well. And at some point, from intuition, it does end up into a boring task of completing the research project. Yeah, you need to sit and write and complete the drafts, take feedback, and like the books we write. So it's not always a very interesting task. There is a boring part to it as well. And to bring everything together as well. I think that's where logical thinking comes in. So start with intuition and some part of logic there as well, because eventually you want to tell these stories. Yeah, so you need to think, okay, I want to publish it in a good journal or with a publisher. What is it that they want? Yeah, maybe they have specific requirements, maybe they want to hear it in a certain way. At that point, then you start thinking, how can I put it in a way that they will like it as well.
Thank you so much, dear Shumaila. And actually, I would like to express my gratitude for organizing such a great workshop on the colonization process. And I would like to ask you, as a researcher, what do you think? Is science nowadays colonized?
Yeah, it is. Knowledge is colonized. Yeah, knowledge is colonized. Like right now, for example, you see the Nobel Prize winners. All of them are white males. Yeah, yeah. This is colonization, epistemic coloniality. Where is the rest of the world?
Yes.
And where are women?
Yes.
In Nobel Prize winners, and why is it all white males? Yeah. Of course, it is colonized by the West, whatever we want, in the global North, and they have their own. They call it the neutral objective truth, and they want all of us to use it as a benchmark of what is right and wrong, and what doesn't fit into that is an outlier, is dehumanized, it's laughed upon, it's not the right way of doing things. Yeah, all my career in consumer behavior, in marketing, I teach to MBA students. We use textbooks by American scholars, and the examples, the case studies, everything is based on Europe and America. We teach these management theories to our students, and then students ask for local case studies. They want to see their own context being there, names, so it is colonized. There's no doubt about it.
Why did you want to be a researcher?
I didn't mean to be. Of course, as a person, we all we like asking questions. So I had a lot of questions. Perhaps that's what a researcher is, asking questions. Yeah, and after my PhD, life brought me into academia. I wanted to go and work with the humanitarian sector. But I started my PhD, and then I got offered a job at Cardiff University, and I just took it, and from there onwards didn't think of alternate careers. And then research was part of my job. Initially I did it as a job because this was something I had to do, and it didn't give me so much pleasure at that time. And when I started thinking of the meaning in my life, started questioning, and then I found my research, things I wanted to do, and now it gives me pleasure. And I now know my my respondents as well, the participants who make the research possible. Yeah. So this makes me really involved in it. Yeah, also I liked mentoring. So I have supervised over, I think, 20 PhD students to completion. So that's a good part of doing research. You help other researchers and you can pass on some of your values to them. Yeah, and see them moving forward.
How did you come to Kazakhstan?
How did I come to
Yeah.
Kazakhstan? I think at some point, because I lived in UK for quite a long time, about 2 decades, yeah. At some point, I did feel like going and exploring. I used to travel a lot as well. I'm still traveling quite a lot, and I wanted to have my children live in a different environment and go explore. Central Asia was like mystery, so I wanted a challenge. I think I was about turning 40 as well at that time, so maybe it was midlife crisis. Yeah, just wanted to have a change, and I did not come with any expectations or how it would be or what it would not be like. Just came with an open mind, and I love Central Asia so much. By the way, did you read yesterday the news that Turkey is changing? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So it won't no longer be called Central Asia in their history books. Yeah. So I wanted to come to this region. Yeah, it's so rich in history and it's covered as well. Yeah, and like veiled, we don't know much about it.
And you know, Shumaila, actually, while listening to you, and you, also by reading your works and about your publications, it's very interesting for me to know what you discovered about the psychological legacy of colonization by Soviet Union in Central Asia, as you have been talking with so many local entrepreneurs in Kazakhstan, in Uzbekistan, in Kyrgyzstan. What did you find in common about psychological legacy of colonization by Soviet Union?
So I have been to Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan and Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan and to Azerbaijan as well. I think it was all happening in a different way in all these countries. Yeah, geographical proximity, because Kazakhstan was the closest. I think here it has hit the hardest.
Okay.
Yeah, and they lost a lot of lives as well. Perhaps the most, in that time period. And they also lost the language. Yeah, I don't think the Uzbek lost it the way that Kazakh people lost it. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. And the culture as well, their culture was totally like Kyrgyzstan. People still live that nomadic way of life. They lived during even the Russian time period, Soviet time period. So their lifestyle wasn't threatened, but Kazakh people completely, the nomadic lifestyle was gone of them. Yeah, and the weather is also very harsh here. For them the trauma is so much. Yeah, losing your language, your lifestyle. So many people in this workshop sitting there were coming and telling me that they don't know where their great grandparents are. They were just lost. Yeah, they were taken away and they have no record of it. You heard some of them speaking. Some came and talked to me. This is a big trauma, and then to forgive all of that, forget and move forward needs so much power. So my salute to these people who brought the language back, are bringing the traditions back in Kazakhstan. I'm talking, but in a modern way. They are bringing their traditions in a modern way. Yeah. And in Uzbekistan, we were so surprised when we went there. They were telling that people were not allowed to do the pottery or carpet or Suzani or any of the craft. But we were so surprised. Then how come in 1991 you just went back to as if you wake up from the coma and you remember everything, how life was, Look at their pottery, carpet, Suzani, metalwork, puppet, everything is like that. Then we went to research. Our book was on that. What made it survive all this time period because they were a settled culture. And they were in one place, they were not nomadic, so they could keep the mohallas, help them survive. They had institutions where there was a leader of the mohalla, these white bearded aksakal people, and ustad shagird, teacher student tradition, and also it was a generational business. So the parents could at home secretly teach their children and their apprentices at home. So that helped them survive. So they survived it in a different way. Yeah. Kyrgyzstan was amazing. We traveled in so many mountains and jailos, and they were still living the lifestyle. You feel like you are 1,000 years back, maybe more, 2,000. They just live in that lifestyle. Yeah. Amazing. I was surprised. They have kept it, and they have kept it, preserved it so well, and they have made the foreigners and tourists like just that authentic lifestyle. They didn't change anything for tourists.
Wow.
Yeah, people just go and live in the same yurts, the toilets and everything, it's just the same. And people come for that authentic lifestyle to Kyrgyzstan. In Kazakhstan, you have now artificial ethno villages. They have opened them, yeah? But they are not like the real thing. Yeah. In Kyrgyzstan, you can just experience the real thing. So everybody has, done it in their own way. They are all also looking towards future as well. And they are, like in Uzbekistan, they are letting their children to do their traditional work, but in a modern style. They're not forcing them, no, just do it the way your grandfather did it. Yeah. So in our book cover, the son's drawing is on the top, and I couldn't bring the book now, and the father's drawing is at the bottom. The son is doing in a very modern way, same patterns, and the father is just letting him experiment because he wants the art to continue.
And should adapt also, yeah.
Yeah.
And Shumaila, it's also very interesting for me to know that in Azerbaijan, for example, as a collective memory, as a result of this psychological self-colonization, we have a lot of fears of taking risks, of making mistakes. We have this message in our brains that if I will be unique, if I will be different, I can be killed. This is the biggest fear we have until now in collective memory. Do entrepreneurs in Kazakhstan or local population in Kazakhstan have these fears as a result of this legacy of colonization?
So even people from your generation feel the same?
Yeah, a lot of young people also until now, because they receive the messages from their parents.
Yeah.
And they are afraid of making mistakes because the making mistakes, as a culture of making mistakes, it's not appreciated. It's not taken seriously. Yeah.
Maybe your children, the generation of your children will come out of it if you can forget.
Yes.
That. I think it depends on the generation that we see. So we had some speakers in the workshop who talked about decolonization, the collective trauma, but they spoke in Russian. Yeah, and the person could actually talk a little bit in English but chose to speak in Russian. Later I was told it's because of the Soviet mentality that you shouldn't be making a mistake. Yeah, and that stopped her from talking in English. Sorry. And I think I think it's the generational thing. The young generations are not like that. We had this designer who came. You saw him, yeah? He was at the dinner. He was wearing very eccentric kind of clothing. Yeah. So he was different. Yeah. Moldir, the artist, drew a lot of criticism when she started talking about Jeti, Appa, or she drew the womb. And many people were talking like, what's this? We don't want to see this. But she questioned, where is my feminine ancestors? Why I want to talk about them. So people are talking. I think that generation is pushing back, and also times are changing. They have internet. They see they hear and they see all their peers in other countries as well, who are pushing back. Like we have these, in all over the world, the university students who risked their degrees, and they asked the universities to not invest in arms and take the investment back from those that do not match with their moral principles, and they risked. I was thinking, would I be able to do that? And I won't do that because I wanted to get that degree. Yeah. So I was so proud of that generation who actually went out and said, don't care if I don't get my degree. So I think they see that as well. They see their peers. This is the new generation who questions, who asks. So I think it will change. Like many people disagree with Greta Thunberg, but look at her. She asks, she asked the question, how dare you? Yeah, she asks these people, Trump and all these leaders. So that's a new generation. They want to be dealt on their own terms. They will push.
Thank you, Shumaila. And I would like to know about the publications you made as a research center on entrepreneurship, and how actually is promoted at the university among the students, and how it can be also used for our research projects on entrepreneurship.
So in academia, the thing that matters the most is we should be writing in academic journals. Yeah. So for that, we collect data, we write academic papers, like you have tried to do one now. Yeah. So you do interviews or questionnaires, you do literature review, and then you write the findings and maybe a theoretical model, and you bring it forward, you send it to a journal. That's what we are doing. That's the main thing we should be doing. But I always think in all of that publications, the stories are kind of lost. Also, we change the names because we want to protect the identity. That's a research requirement. So we're not highlighting the individual. We're not celebrating them as individuals. So then with my team, I decided, okay, let's just write these books about them. So we were lucky. We had the funding to publish these books. They cost time and money, require resources. So this was a book we did. This was our first book. So we went to Kyrgyzstan, and we interviewed these women in community-based tourism. That was intuition-based research project. So when I first went as a tourist, I saw these women, and I was so amazed by how much contribution they were making, how powerful they were trying to be, in despite all these difficult circumstances. They were asserting their agency, and they were contributing to their children, to each other, to helping other women, to the tourism sector. So I wanted to write their stories. So we did this book about these women. Then we did the book Trailblazers of the Steppes, inspiring narratives of women entrepreneurs in Kazakhstan. We collected 50 narratives. Then we just interviewed many women, one after another, looked through social media, LinkedIn, like we did in Azerbaijan as well. So then these 50 women, then we themed them into different sections based on what they were doing. Like there was one on feminist solidarity, how they are helping each other. So we wrote a paper based on that. Then we have a group of women, disabled women, who are not only solving social problems, they're also creating jobs for disabled people. And they're breaking stereotypes about disability. And decolonizing theme actually came from this book, that then went on to become a book on its own, and then the workshop and a paper that we are doing. So it's just by talking to people and going with an open mind and ear, we hear their stories. And one paper that came from this was about women in male-dominated sector. And we saw that there were these women in security, in construction, in mining, in IT sector. Not only that their competitors are male, but like in logistics and security and infrastructure and construction, their workers are male as well. It's just a male space, and how they are navigating that male space. Yeah. So there were many different strategies we found. There was this one woman, she said, I have a dress which has big red lips on it. And I wear my full makeup, I wear my high heels. She was in construction industry. And she says, I go to these construction sites, and they show me respect because I I have the knowledge, I have the expertise, and I don't need to change myself for them. Yeah. But then there were others who decided to wear dark suits, no makeup, no hair, not much hairs, because they said that I won't be taken. They think that they won't be taken seriously. That's how they want, and they change their voice tone, or what they do, they take just a man, like a person working in the company, or the husband, or somebody with them to meetings or anywhere, because they said people demand, where is the boss?
Yes.
Yeah. Where is the man? We want to speak to the man. So women were applying, but this also shows their agency. They are clever. This is infra politics, where they have to find a way, and they will find a way. Okay, if I have to wear a suit, I'll just wear a suit and I'll go and get it done. If I have to take my man, I'll just take him, and some are saying, okay, I'll just go like this, and they either perform masculinities, or they perform feminities, or they are creating a balance between. Sometimes they do this, sometimes. And they are very clever in navigating this sector. So a lot of themes came from this. Another one that came out was this woman in the eco sector. Yeah, so many women are working there, and it just, we ask them why. It's a lot to do with a woman ethics of care. They want to care about environment, about waste, about future generations. So yeah, this book is quite a rich resource of lots of different ideas that will be turned into research papers. Some have already been. And then we have other books that you saw on decolonization and Uzbekistan. Hopefully we will finish soon the book on Azerbaijan with Nargis. You've met Nargis, yes? Yeah. So how do you feel? Can I ask you a question? How do you feel about doing research?
It's a very unique process, because when you are doing the research, you should be maximum free from assumptions. And you should go, and as you mentioned, to be open-minded, to go, yes, you can use some secondary data, but in order to do something unique in the research process, in order to contribute to the reality, it's so necessary to talk to the people. If, for example, about entrepreneurship, and if I want to know about entrepreneurship ecosystem in Azerbaijan, it's so necessary for me to know what the people and entrepreneurs feel. And this process itself, it's very enriching, it's very magnificent, it's very challenging, because when you want to put some frameworks, that was the most challenging for me, to put in some frameworks, to make some categorization. But generally, about researching the process, about going and researching the information, it wasn't the hard, but the hardest was to adapt to the guidelines for writing the paper. And that is the main question I have in my mind, whether I want to be an independent researcher or I want to go to academia for formal education. Until now, I have this question in my mind.
So for that, for academic research, you need a bit of training. That's why people go and do either a master's in research or a PhD for a longer time period. So if you want to write for a newspaper or a blog, that's something you can do. But for a more formal research, then those courses give you training to understand how it is all done. And also the point you raised is important, listening to these people, because you see a lot of time when policies are made or discussions are done, these people about whom we are making the policies are missing from the discussion. Yeah, their voices are missing, and same goes in research as well. Yeah, so if we are just not listening to them and we're writing and talking about them or making policies without bringing their voices to the center, then here the responsibility comes on researchers like us, who can go talk to these people, then write about them through the books, through the research articles, and try in whatever way possible to amplify those voices. The book launch, for example, we did, where a person from the government came and he saw these people and he hears their stories. Maybe, he won't realize otherwise that, these people are actually making a big contribution. Yeah. So yeah, listening is so important. That's epistemic sovereignty that we talk about of the West, or in a country there is just a group of people, they think they hold all the knowledge. That's objective, neutral, ultimate truth. Yeah. And then everybody should agree with that.
Yes.
Yeah. And then what's the consequences? People are marginalized, they are discriminated, their voices are not part of the decisions that are made about them. And then they face the consequences of that. Yeah.
During the workshop, Shumaila, we had a lot of discussions with the participants among each other.
Yeah.
One of the main discussions have been about how you maintain your mental health as a mother of 4 kids, as a professor on entrepreneurship, as a leader of the center. How do you manage everything and you maintain your mental health?
It's I think it's to do with the kind of person I am. Yeah, I don't have a formula. If there is a problem, I just go over it quickly. I don't sit and dwell on it. Yeah. I get over things very quickly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one thing. Don't keep them with me. So I can be having a very severe argument with you right now, but the moment I go there, I see somebody, I can just forget, and I can strike a very good conversation and laugh and all of this. So to get over things very quickly is important.
Yes.
Yeah, that's one thing. And then the second is to, it's a cliche, but just do it. Nike thing, yeah. Don't overthink. Yeah. I was reading about this. There's an American artist. She draws everything very big. I forgot her name. She draws very big flowers. Have you heard? She passed away. Okay, I'll remember her name now in a while. So she said, all my life, I was always super afraid of everything I was doing. Super, super afraid. But it never stopped me from doing one single thing. Yeah. It's not that I am not afraid. It's not that I don't think of the consequences. I just go and do it. And then I just think things will work out. Yeah. And I don't have to do it you shouldn't have this idealized version of something that it has to be like this, If things are pivoting, changing, whatever, that's okay. You don't have to write in stone that this is how I should be doing. Otherwise, it's either this or that. Yeah, this will just stop you from achieving a lot of things in life. And not to overthink. I don't think too much. What if I do this? What will happen? If it happens, we'll work it out. Yeah.
Yes.
And you can work out every situation. Yeah. And in any situation, then when you are in problem, instead of sitting there and making a big problem out of it, it's not going to help. So we just have to find a solution and work it out then. That's going to help more. And of course, then mental health, there are moments where I go through imposter syndrome. As a woman, I've been told many times, I wasn't good enough. People try to bully me, they harass me, they think I'm a woman. I can be talked on. You have to stand your ground. Just this morning, I received an email. Somebody tried to bully me, and I was like, you're not doing this to me. I'm not letting you do that. So, you have to just stand your ground, believe in yourself. All these sounds like cliche things, believe yourself, just do it, stand your ground, all these things, but they actually, don't overthink. And then I talk a lot as well, so if there is a problem, I am not ashamed or embarrassed to talk to anybody about it. If I need to, yeah. I can even be in a bus stop. There would be a random stranger sitting next to me and they ask, wow, what's wrong? How are you? And I'll just say, I'm feeling very crap. Today I had a fight with my husband. Things were not right. I don't care. What if the person thinks like this about me? Who cares? I don't have this that people should think about me in a good way. If I'm in a bad mood, they should see me in a bad mood. If I'm weak, it's okay to be weak. It's okay to be in a bad mood. We don't need to put up this mask of being strong all the time, yeah? There are times when you just say, I'm not doing well. It's okay not to be okay, yeah? And not to do things, a lot of times in your society as well, in ours, we care too much about what will people think. And we do a lot of things on basis on that. People have to think good of us. Will Smith said, I think, we spend too much money and time buying things to show to people. I think they don't care about us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely,
because we want to care, that they should care. They don't even care.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, Shumaila, and also as a professor on entrepreneurship, what do you think? How should be the high quality education on entrepreneurship? Why it's very important for me to know. As a lot of in top ranking universities, there are courses on entrepreneurship, there are a lot of startup competitions, and they have very standardized approach in educating students about entrepreneurship. So we had some discussions yesterday about this approach in education. What do you think? How it should be?
Look, for other subjects, it's okay. We have to follow the standards, because eventually we want to get a job, and for that we have certain requirements. We need to fulfill that. Entrepreneurs don't need to go and get a job. I think entrepreneurship education has the best opportunity to do what they want to, what is the right thing for them to do. So what we saw, this Tata Institute of Social Sciences, I love their model.
Yes.
So you want to cultivate social entrepreneurs in the end, not people who will be going and looking for jobs, yeah? And I think 60% of their work is based on field work, the whole time. They send the student in the beginning to a village to go and live in that village and find a social problem, and then come up with a solution, and then just come to the classroom. Learning shouldn't be happening in the classroom for an entrepreneur. It should be happening out there. So I think, like, for example, for you in Azerbaijan, maybe you can start something like that, some people who would be interested to experiment, because eventually what have you got to lose? You're not there to get a degree to go and show it to an employer to get a job. You're just here to learn. Maybe you'll find some like-minded people who would want to be part of this experimental journey. I really like their model, this Tata Institute of Social Sciences, their MSc in Social Entrepreneurship from their School of Business. Wonderful. This is based on, he mentioned this effectual theory of entrepreneurship, Saraswati. She says that because you see the definition of an entrepreneur, he is risk taker, he's innovative, he's that. We have certain criteria, yeah? And Saraswati says, no, everybody can be an entrepreneur. And we don't need a good, wonderful idea. We don't need a business model. We don't need money. She says you don't need. The best capital that you have is yourself, who you are. And then the second one is the people you know.
Yes.
And then what you have and what they have. Just from there, you can just start. And she always encourages in her effectual entrepreneurship theory model that start with, she calls it bird in hand. Whatever you have in hand, and affordable loss, she calls it affordable loss. She says calculate what you are willing to lose today. And then just go and experiment with that and collaborate with somebody. Also, she has this principle: do not buy what you can borrow. Do not borrow what you can get for free. Yeah. So there is so many resources lying dormant or to be borrowed or to be exchanged for some services in your network. So just look around for them. You don't need to get a loan and set up a place in which there will be lots of fixed costs. So I think it should be so practical. I wish many countries will just go with this model and teach their young generations, instead of looking for jobs, train them to just go and be their own boss. And this can only be learnt by doing. Books and classrooms cannot teach you. Yeah, when you will go, you will make a mistake, you will lose something, and you will improve on that, you will pivot. That will teach you. You have learned, by doing.
Yes.
Yeah, so much of your experience have come from that. And she asks for making small steps, not just one big jump into something. Yeah. How was it for you? So when you started your enterprise?
Actually, I started with my personal budget, which just was 85 euros. And I didn't ask for some investments, for some grants, for some sponsorships, because I knew that it's possible to find resources, as you mentioned, from the network, from the around. We have now social media, we have a lot of now opportunities. And while I was starting a social enterprise, we start to employ local women with special needs. I was searching for the data among local NGOs, and I was in communicating with them. And with the first step, without knowing any business plan without getting any education on social entrepreneurship, I just started, and the road appeared. And that was my journey of starting a social enterprise. At the same time, I was also talking with clients, with corporate clients. There have been a huge also challenge about persuading individuals in Azerbaijan about purchasing our products, as we have a lot of negative stigmas about people with special needs in Azerbaijan. And there is a stereotype, especially by elder generation, that if the products are handmade by people with disabilities, it's not a high quality. So that's why we decided to change our business model, and we went to corporates in order to collaborate on B2B business model.
Yeah, you see, you just kept on learning with small. I'm sure you had some failures, some small losses, but not big enough to set back you from, I cannot do it anymore. Yeah, they were just some steps to, and this is how it should be done. Do you think of teaching this to other people, young people, like in high schools or in colleges, so or giving them an opportunity to do some small like they can, like in TIS they are doing, going and looking for a problem and then coming up with a solution, and with some small startup capital they go and do a small experiment.
Actually, for a long time I was collaborating with local organizations and NGOs. I have been in this process of sharing personal experiences, and also I wouldn't say teaching, because I would just ask right questions to students, to young people, and they will seek for the answers. That would be, for me, the most interesting process in delivering messages about entrepreneurship in Azerbaijan. So that was my approach in talking and sharing about entrepreneurship, and I'm super happy whenever I see results of young people, about the inspiration of continuing their journey. And that is really very, I forgot the word in English, but if I would describe it, it's very enriching in terms of that it cannot be expressed with any words, this feeling of satisfaction and enjoyment you have, that you have the impact on someone else's life.
Yeah, I recently came across the book. I didn't know about this Japanese concept of Ikigai. Yeah, yeah, that's you found your Ikigai. Yeah,
Yes. What's your Ikigai?
I have yet to find mine. Believe me. um, but I think for me, seeing my children, I homeschool them, go through their life and to university and help them find their passion, and then study what, you know, a lot of us, we go to universities without knowing what we want to do. Yeah, and I that's why we homeschool. So I hope that in this time period when I'm just giving them the freedom to choose different subjects and experiment and everything, so slowly and slowly they can find out, and then by the time they are ready for university, they'll choose the right path for themselves. So seeing my children move forward, and in my work I like helping, young researchers to move forward in their life. That gives me happiness. Also now writing about my papers, the data that I've collected from these books, writing about these women that I meet, telling their stories forward, that makes me happy. But I'm still searching for this big purpose of life. Like, what's the purpose of my life? Why am I here? Because I think all the things I'm doing, anyone else can do them as well. There could be something that I can specifically do, yeah? So I'm still thinking. Also, I see so much suffering in the world right now. And this just makes me question as well all these books and all the research. Does it really matter in the bigger scheme of things? When people are just losing their families, homes, children, and lives. So that also makes you question about the purpose of life, the bigger meaning of life. But yeah, Ikigai is important if you want to live a fulfilled, happy life. We should think about it. It's a good Japanese concept, yeah.
Shumaila, you mentioned now that whether our research can be important for the world, for the people. I remembered our discussion yesterday that we are constantly, as researchers, we are questioning our work, we are questioning the quality of our research works. And that means that we are constantly developing ourselves, evolving. And I would like just to let you know what I observed during my stay in Kazakhstan. While publishing your book, I saw the sense of pride in the eyes of entrepreneurs. For the first time, maybe in their lives, the small entrepreneurs from rural areas, they got recognized for the whole work. You show the importance and significance of the work to the public society in Kazakhstan, not only for locals, but also for different people from different countries. And you contribute to the self-esteem, and the self-esteem gives the biggest motivation for them to not give up and to increase the impact on community. Thank you so much. Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you for making me realize this. So I want to share with you the story of Venera. Venera Tailakbayeva. She is mother of 10 children, 10 surviving children. She's I have a photo of her here. Yeah, here she is in her bamboo field. So she grows bamboos as a construction material, and she exports it to Europe.
Wow.
And she's mother of 10 children, and she lives in a village, Kazalai district in the south of Kazakhstan, I think. She came to our book launch. And here, she's like a woman working in the bamboo field with her hair tied and in a village dress. She came very nice, shiny trousers and shirt. And she was so proud. And she went to the stage, and then she took her book. And she was so happy and so proud that to be recognized. Yeah, because recognition is one of the things that we as human, we want to have. And then to be a character in a book is a big thing. And then we do book exhibitions about them as well. And this lady Bulbul, you were there, yeah? She came with her 84-year-old mother. She's in our book as well. She felt so proud. All of them. Yeah, that's I appreciate. Thank you for saying that. But I still question.
That's great, actually.
We shouldn't stop questioning,
Yes,
yeah, because if the day
definitely.
we stop it, then the
Yeah.
life just stops, yeah.
And I would like just to add what is also the next point of significance of your research work. You are showing the real role models and real hidden heroes
Yeah.
of the society in Kazakhstan, as we are opening social media, whom we see every single day. Some influencers, some business people, or very famous people from different countries, they became every single day the real role model for us. But those people, they don't have an opportunity to share about the stories. Your significance of the whole work you're doing with your team is about showing the real heroes of the society.
Yeah, this was a deliberate thing from the beginning. We said we want self-made people. Some of them who have become very big, and most of them who are not so big, but they are important.
Definitely.
Yeah, so that we don't attach importance with being so popular or big. So this was deliberately, we looked for, we didn't go for people with family histories or family money or political contacts. We just went for people like Bulbul and Vanira and Ikigai, who has done this painting. She's a wonderful artist. So yeah, it's important because you see, I believe in this thing, what you don't see, you cannot be. Yeah. So for us women, like in my case, in academia, we don't see many women professors or women in high positions in academia. And then we just think, it's not for me. Yeah. I cannot be like that. It's a job for men. I won't sometime even try to apply for promotion, for example, or will always be hesitant to do this because I see this is the norm. These are the people who deserve it. And I'm just, not doing much. So for these women to see their stories for others, when we were doing the exhibition of that book, one of my RA came to me and he said some students were passing by the exhibition in the atrium in the university, and they said, are these some photos of some important people? Because their photos were there, they thought they are important people. Yeah. And that's the whole thing. We want people to acknowledge that they are important, and they are not just some small stories or small people out there. Yeah. Because I'll tell you, I was in Namibia before coming to Kazakhstan. We traveled in Africa, and I was doing some interviews there as well. There was this lady called Josephine, and I interviewed her. She had a little farm, and then she gave me a tour of her farm. She said, I grow this, I do this, here are my chicken. And she was so proud, and she was so dressed up. African people, they like to dress very nicely. Her hairs were nicely done. And then she said, she was looking, and then she said to me, when I die, I want to leave a legacy. And I'm so proud of what I have achieved. And I want to be like a star in the sky, so that when my children will look at me, they will think, look, Josephine has left a legacy for us. Yeah. And Josephine was so proud of what she has achieved. Yeah. But we as a society, we have dehumanized, kind of marginalized these efforts to the side, borderlines, just operates in the border, in the informal economy. Don't come to the center, these voices. Yeah. And disabled people is the same. Yeah. How proud they are. The Kunde waiters, how proud they are to serve you and to be doing whatever they are doing. So we need to acknowledge all of that, make our effort to bring those stories to the center.
Shumaila, thank you so much.
Thank you for for talking to me.
I was so much enjoying this conversation. I can endlessly talk with you for days, for weeks, for years. It will be
Thank you,
never
Sarah.
enough for me.
It's a pleasure knowing you.
Thank you.
I'm happy for that LinkedIn. I think I found your LinkedIn or somewhere. I'm in love with LinkedIn now. Yeah,
Yes.
it's such a wonderful medium for to connect. And I'm so happy we met in Azerbaijan. I was so inspired by your work. You're doing wonderful work. So thank you for
Thank you,
coming now as
Shumaila.
well, and for inviting me.
Thanks for coming, Sfar. Thanks for everything you do. Thanks for your energy and your efforts. And I wish you all the best, Shumaila. Thank you.
All the best to you on your YouTube channel as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye bye.
Thank you.